Goldie Hawn. You know, actress Goldie Hawn, little bit eccentric. Goldie Hawn has claimed that not only has she seen UFOs, but she's actually encountered them and they touched her face. So Goldie Hawn is in the camp of Matt Walsh on the aliens question. The serious theologians and philosophers and rational people throughout all of history they're in my camp on the alien question. Goldie Hawn is in the Sweet Daddy's camp. Here's what Goldie Hawn said. She said there was a time when, there was a lot of UFO sightings. I remember so clearly. I went outside my door and I sat on a little edge and I looked up at the dark sky and I saw all these stars and all I could think of was, how far does this go? How little are we? Are we the only planet in this whole wide universe that has life on it? I said, I know you're out there. I know we're not alone and I would like to meet you one day. Now, hold on. The way she's talking to these aliens is not the way you would talk to aliens. If aliens were really just beings, physical beings from some other planet. Because they probably couldn't hear her, right? Because physical beings are constrained by physics. The way she's talking to these aliens is the way you would talk to angels or demons, who are pure spirit, who are not confined by physical laws. Right? When I'm trying to talk to Ben Davies, well, that's a bad example because I have a microphone sitting right here at my desk. But if I were to talk to Jeremy, who's in Hungary right now, and I said, Jeremy, I know you can hear me. He wouldn't be able to hear me because he's not within the proximity of my physical voice and he doesn't listen to my show. So if I were talking to an angel, though, I could say, I know you hear me, and I would have a greater cause to think that the angel could hear me because angels are pure spirit. So they're all around. This woman's talking like she's talking to angels or demons. She goes on, she says, I know you're out there. I want to meet you. She invites them in. And then she says later on, I get this high-pitched sound in my ear. It was this high frequency. She was taking a nap in her car. She looks out the window and there's these 2 or 3 triangular-shaped heads on little bodies. They were silver in color, slash for a mouth, tiny little nose, no ears. They were pointing at me in the car as if they were discussing me, like I was a subject. And they were droning. I was paralyzed. And I thought, oh my God, I want to get up. I didn't know if it was real or not real. And then she burst out of this state of paralysis and said it was like bursting out of a force field. So there are 2 things that this could be, and they're not necessarily mutually exclusive. What this could be, at a physical explanation, is that it could be sleep paralysis, which maybe you've had. I've had sleep paralysis, where you wake up, but you can't move. You're still kind of asleep, but you think you're awake and you have hallucinations. I've only experienced this, I don't know, 2 or 3 times maybe, but you can sometimes hear something. I've never visually hallucinated, but I've heard things in the state of sleep paralysis, and then it's kind of scary, and then you kind of snap out of it and you can move again, and it's fine. There's a spiritual answer here too, which is it could be that she was just looking at demons. They sound a lot like demons, and they kind of her experience of it sounds like how everyone's described demons for all of human history. So it could be that too. Either way, though, not a lot of strong evidence that it's aliens. And either way, not the sort of thing that you want to invite. Your move, Mr. Walsh. Right now, go to genucell.com/Knowles. Our friends over at Genucell have launched a new product called Genucell 3, which works fast on your under-eye bags and puffiness. Genucell 3 uses advanced technology to deliver complex vitamins and minerals directly to your face for instant hydration. It's like Gatorade for your skin. This new Genucell technology keeps your skin looking young and healthy for years to come. The Genucell Fall Classics package also includes a jawline treatment for a more firm neck and jawline. It also includes Genucell's anti-wrinkle moisturizer and deep firming serum. Of course, any Genucell luxury box is not complete without the great Genucell XV anti-wrinkle moisturizer and their world-famous deep firming serum. Get your skin ready for the cold and dry weather. If you do not look and feel your absolute best, you'll get your money back, no questions asked. Go to genucell.com/Knowles, Knowles, or you can call 800-SKIN-211 for extra discounts on this amazing fall package. Get results in 12 hours or less. The immediate effects are included for free. Genucell.com/Knowles, Knowles, or call 800-SKIN, SKIN, 211. Since COVID especially, more and more people have been taking their kids out of the schools, mostly the public schools, even some of the private schools, and homeschooling them. And homeschooling, especially when I was a kid, homeschooling was a thing that just those weird conservative Christians did. That's not the sort of thing that normal, posh, clubbable people would do. Well, now A lot of people are homeschooling. Why is this? The Washington Post is just engaged in an examination of this. They say, we're trying to figure it out. Number one, even as the pandemic eased, homeschooling persisted. So they tried it out because of COVID, but then they stuck with it. They didn't just send the kids back to school when the schools reopened. Homeschooling comes off as fringe. It used to be fringe. Now that is no longer the case. Homeschooling is on the rise in all sorts of places, not just down south, not just in those hillbilly, deplorable, irredeemable countries of the Trump vote and whatever the liberals think. It's all over the place. Religion is no longer the sole driver of it. Used to be just Christian conservatives. Now people who are not conservative, people who are not Christian, are sending their kids to, are keeping their kids home and homeschooling them also. Homeschoolers are more diverse than ever, racially and across all sorts of demographics. And then here's an interesting one. Parents do less and less of the teaching, meaning they'll form little pods with different families, and sometimes they'll form even miniature schools. And then that will, but it will be separate from a public school, and it'll be separate even from the private schools. So what does this mean? It means this is the fastest growing part of the U.S. education system, as even the Washington Post found. And it means that it'll probably persist. But that last part, I think, is key here, because I'd compare it to Airbnb. Remember, people used to stay at these things called hotels and motels. That's where if you were out of town and traveling somewhere and you needed a place to stay, you'd stay at what was called a hotel or a motel. Then Airbnb came around, and a lot of people said, wow, I don't need to stay at a hotel anymore. I don't need to pay all sorts of fees. I can, just stay in some guy's house or his apartment. Maybe he's got an extra apartment, and I'll just pay him, and I can use all of his facilities. It's kind of fun, and it's a little cheaper, and it's, wow, this is cool. But then Airbnb started adding cleaning fees and started adding this fee and that fee and putting limits on how you could use it and what time you checked in. And all of a sudden, it didn't seem to be such a great value anymore. And so people started returning to hotels and motels. I could see the same thing happening for homeschooling if homeschooling is not driven by an ideological or religious motive. If it's just because people got a little freaked out during COVID and they lost some respect for the teacher unions and they saw some weird stuff their kids were being taught, but they don't deeply object to it. They just thought it was kind of weird. And if they kind of grow these homeschools from their homes to their communities to these miniature schools, and all of a sudden it's lots of different families, at a certain point, you've just created a small school and you're just going to go back to the old kind of schooling. Unless you've got a strong ideological motive or a religious motive for it. If you've got a strong driver of why you're not going to send your kids to a public school, or even many of the private schools are infected, that I think is where it's going to persist. So it will have been mainstreamed. It will be more diverse. It will be in all parts of the country. Homeschooling is the way that people were schooled for most of human history. The notion of widespread public school, that's the experiment. That's the new thing. So homeschooling is going to be mainstreamed. But if people lose the strong motivations for why they would homeschool, at a certain point, those groups will probably just return to the regular old public or private schooling method. Man, that was a good clip, huh? Now, you got to ring the bell. You got to subscribe to the Michael Knowles YouTube channel. We'll see you next time.